The idea of goodness and badness comes from our experience. We have three kinds of experience: pleasant experience, unpleasant experience, and the neutral experience. Pleasant experience is what we call good, and the unpleasant experience is what we call bad. When we judge anything in terms of goodness and badness, we are really referring to the pleasantness or the unpleasantness. Now, if someone does something unpleasant to me, I will think of that as something bad, and I will say that that person is also bad who did that. If a person does something pleasant to me, then I will see it as something good, and the person is also seen as a good person. So the good and bad comes from pleasure and pain. But at the same time, there can be something unpleasant now which will lead to something pleasant in the future. So we have to think in terms of not only just the immediate present, but we also have to think of the ultimate consequences. For example, if we have a problem with a tooth, the dental surgeon might want to remove my tooth, which may be unpleasant when it is done, but still, ultimately, it leads to a comfortable state. Or we might have a sickness and the doctor might give us something very unpleasant to drink or to take, but once we take it, it can lead to something pleasant. So that these are the thinking in terms of consequences. And the other thing is, what is pleasant to me can be unpleasant to another person. It may be pleasant to take someone else's property so that it will satisfy me, but it will be harmful or hurtful to the other person. So, when we speak of what is good, we have to think of all these aspects. And what is good is what is ultimately good to all. So it can be universally accepted as good. So what can be universally accepted as good is what is good for all, not just good for myself. So once we have understood this, we see that all self-centered behavior is bad. So what is good becomes unselfish behavior. And selfishness is not only bad for other people, it is also bad for ourselves. It can lead to bad consequences. If abusing another person may be pleasant to me, it can be pleasant to another person, but it won't end there. That other person will want to take revenge on me. And then the result will be bad for me also. It's not only for the other person. and it can lead to bad consequences. So we have to look at it in a broad way, not in a narrow way. So when we think of what is good and bad, the Buddha speaks of three roots of evil: lust, hate, and delusion. The delusion is really a confusion of the mind. Lust is desires for things, attachments, and emotional desire. And hate is an emotional repulsion towards things. The lust is the emotional attraction to things. So both leads to unhappiness for ourselves as well as others. What are called bad behavior. There are 10 kinds of bad actions, what are called akusala karma. Karma is the behavior, and akusala is what is bad. There are 3 kinds of behavior which are physically done, and 4 kinds of behavior which we do verbally, and 3 kinds of behavior which are mental. The 3 kinds of behavior physically done is to hurt or harm others in any way. That is physical. Or the other is take away from others something that others are attached to, or others consider their own property, which comes in the form of stealing and robbing. Stealing is when you take something when the other person is not looking. Robbing is you take something when the other person is looking, but you hold a gun or some weapon and take it.